It was the kind of video that made you sit up, halt the scroll, and just watch. Kody and Janelle, two people who had spent decades building a life together, completely disintegrating in a small apartment. Their voices raised, their faces bare with emotion. Kody pacing the room, defensive and frustrated, goading Janelle into admitting he was gaslighting her. And there she was, tired, cornered, trying to keep her cool, as everything they'd built crumbled, all in the same little room Kody once complained was too small for him, and we got to see it go down, raw, uncut, just years of pain bubbling over in real time. Hey guys, I'm Aariaa. Welcome back to TLC Next Reveal. If you're new, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any of our sister wives' breakdowns and all the behind-the-scenes drama. And sound off in the comments. Where were you emotionally when this fight aired? Because seriously, it felt like it hit a truck. That moment wasn't just another family fight. It was Janelle's breaking point. It was not a matter of Kody screaming or attempting to dictate the narrative. We have witnessed that. It was a matter of Janelle finally coming to something heart-wrenching. He never respected her as an equal. The respect she had struggled for, the loyalty she provided, the sacrifices she made for the family, none of it was sufficient for him. Not unless she got in line. Not unless she became just another Robyn. And that's the thing. We've watched the cracks forming for seasons. The tension, the microaggressions, the so-called COVID rules that weren't about safety at all. The blatant favoritism. The way Kody began treating Janelle and the kids they raised together like they were just extras in the Kody and Robyn show. How did it come to this? How did a family built on shared faith and unity become so fractured that Janelle had to leave just to breathe? Stick with me, because we're going to break down what really tore this family apart, and why no amount of tell-alls or rehearsed apologies can fix what Kody and Robyn helped destroy. When Kody told Janelle that he had someone in his life who was fundamentally loyal, and that she could have the same relationship if she offered that kind of loyalty, you could feel the air change. It wasn't an invitation to intimacy. It was a demand for obedience. What he was really saying was, be like Robyn. Don't question me, don't challenge me, and don't defend your children when I say they're out of line. That wasn't love. That was control. And it got darker. Kody wasn't just changing the rules, he was changing what partnership was. Being a wife now meant being quiet. Being a mother meant putting your husband before your children. And if you did not, you were disloyal. You were the problem. He turned loyalty into a weapon. Any disagreement was betrayal. And Janelle, the peacekeeper, the one who had borne 6 of his children with strength and quiet determination, was being told that none of it mattered. What mattered now was obedience, period. And then came the sting of the double standard. Gabriel and Garrison, 2 respectful, considerate sons, were now being painted as rebels. Why? Because they challenged Kody's ever-changing COVID rules. Because they wanted a real relationship with their dad. Because they asked for fairness. But Kody wasn't interested in relationships that didn't revolve around Robyn. When Janelle wouldn't kick them out of her home, Kody felt betrayed by that. Like disloyalty. Compare that to how Dayton, Robyn's son, was treated. When Robyn and Kody got into a dispute over Dayton, what happened? Dayton quietly moved into an RV outside their home. No story, no public shame, just silence, just protection. That Janelle's kids were never offered that same grace? It speaks volumes. There were 2 sets of rules, one for Robyn's children and one for everyone else's. Kody wished Janelle would severely discipline her sons, but when Robyn was in the very same spot, she was given grace. She got space. She got silence. So what do you do when the father of the family draws up a hierarchy, one wife as the norm, one set of children as the privileged, and the rest, as inferior, you crack up. That's what you do. You kneel down or you walk out. And Janelle? She refused to kneel. She stood up for her kids. She stood up for herself. And that's when Kody's so-called test of loyalty ended up being an all-out war. This wasn't dysfunction. It was favoritism with guns. A once unified family built on equality, now broken into a hierarchy. And at the top, one throne sat empty, and Kody made sure Robyn stayed on it. For many of us who watched Sister Wives, the adult drama was one thing. But the real heartbreak? It was what was happening to the children. And no story hit more hard than Garrison's. His presence, his absence, the oppressive quiet around his pain. It's something this show can't shake. What we saw wasn't merely family drama. It was the kind of profound, slow-burning hurt reality TV always glosses over. But this time, we witnessed it. We experienced it. Garrison wasn't some secondary character. He was a son, a young man who longed for a connection with his dad. Someone stuck in between devotion to his mother and the desperate wish to be seen by the father who was disappearing further and further into the distance. When he and Gabriel had the temerity to demand those infamous COVID rules Kody claimed were his, even though everyone knew to have started with Robyn, out, they were instantly labeled as ungrateful. But what were they really asking? Time, attention, fairness, love? And what did Kody do? He came on camera, over and over, blaming them, shaming them, taking something that was supposed to be quiet parenting moments and making it public shame. These boys never volunteered for that. They never asked to play supporting character to Kody and Robyn's scripted drama. But the cameras were always rolling. The show was always desperate for a plot. And they became pawns in the worst possible way. That's what people forget. This wasn't just a family. It was a filmed family. And when you're on a reality show, the line between real life and storyline disappears. Kody could sit on national TV and say his sons were disobedient. Say Janelle failed as a parent. Say they were the reason for the distance. And the boys? They had no real way to respond. Unless they stepped into the narrative themselves. And when they did, it only got worse. They were drawn deeper into the machine. More clips, more headlines, more public remarks dissecting their trauma. The show didn't protect them. It preyed upon them. And the most terrifying thing, even after Garrison's death, the cycle wasn't broken. Kody testified about it on TV. He showed his grief before the cameras, but not as a father owning his role, more like an actor, continuing his story. And that's something nobody should ever have to endure. Witnessing their agony, their family background of trauma, boiled down to a rerun. It was not an option even for these kids to walk away. Their stories had already been in the public domain, cut into bite-sized chunks, trimmed into promos, posted on social media. The emotional abuse did not happen just within the household. It happened through the screen to millions. And that burden, carried by children, no one should ever bear for over a decade. On Sister Wives, we saw a photo op-worthy tableau. 4 wives, a single husband, an army of kids, and the guarantee that this non-traditional family would succeed. That was the story we were sold by TLC. But beneath the grins, coordinating teas, and staged dinners lay a storm no camera ever fully captured. What we beheld was not a coming together. It was performance. And the longer the cameras filmed, the more apparent it was. This was not one big happy family. It was a house of cards, crumbling, held in place by editing and denial. On the surface, it was love and devotion. But to those who experienced it, it was a pecking order, rooted in favoritism and sheer fatigue. Reality TV had given Kody a forum, and he took it to rewrite history, control the narrative, and maintain one relationship at the expense of all the rest. On camera, Kody and Robyn were the calm, spiritually bonded center of the family. But while they were doing well, camera perfect and financially secure, the other wives were unraveling. We saw Christine reach her breaking point. We saw Mary cling to the ghost of a marriage. We saw Janelle, the once rock of the family, begin to question everything. The moment any of them spoke up, the disguise of agreement was lost. Kody and Robyn closed ranks, leaving the rest to fend for themselves. And let's talk about money. You know, the subject they've danced around all these years. When the show's paycheck arrived every month, it wasn't split 50-50. While Christine, Mary, and Janelle took on side jobs, MLMs, product launches, just to make ends meet, Robyn didn't have to worry. Kody lived with her full time. She got the lion's share of his attention, emotional support, and financial security. What Kody and Robyn constructed was not a marriage. It was a power couple. Kody got to be bad guy. Robyn stayed squeaky clean victim. As every other relationship in the family slid unobtrusively away, this show didn't just capture the collapse, it thrived on it. The more out of control things were, the better the ratings. Emotional collapses were highlights of the episode. Family sit-downs were multi-episode arcs. Suffering was plot. That, right there, is the darkest truth about reality TV. Not just does it show dysfunction, but it makes it. Because harmony doesn't sell. Anarchy does. Behind the scenes, this wasn't a family learning to navigate polygamy. It was a family being torn apart, scene by scene, season by season, for the sake of the next trailer and clickbait headline. No amount of staged reconciliations could hide it. The unity was never real. It was a script. There comes a moment, if you've lived through enough chaos, when silence becomes your safest place. When no contact isn't cruelty, it's clarity. That's where Janelle stands today. And for anyone still wondering why she is refusing lunch with Robyn or playing along with Kody's symbolic gestures toward reconciliation, it's not bitterness. It's boundaries. When Janelle sat in that tell-all interview chair, you could have cut the tension with a knife. The questions were coded in concern. Would you ever be able to be friends with Robyn again? Do you think there is a way to rebuild with Kody? But underlying all of those questions was a refusal to talk about everything she had endured. We watched her choose each word carefully, not to protect them, but to protect herself, her peace, her children, her hard-won distance from years of manipulation. She wasn't hiding, she was guarding. And still, the show struggled for a feel-good ending, as if reconciliation were the goal. As if smiling nicely and pretending you forgive would somehow wrap everything up in a neat little package. But here's reality. Sometimes the best you can do is walk away and never look back. Janelle herself said it. She could be in the same room with Kody and Robyn. She could be cordial. But friends? Rebuild anything real? That ship sailed a long, long time ago. Not because she's bitter, but because once trust is broken that deeply, it doesn't heal with time or television hugs. She knows what reopening that door would be. Same dynamics, same pressure to conform, same muffling of her voice, and she's done playing that role. You can't rebuild something that wasn't built on mutual respect to begin with. Janelle's strength isn't in what she said. It's in what she refused to say. She didn't bite. She didn't act for closure. She protected her healing, even when the world wanted her to do forgiveness for the cameras. So, when you see her choosing silence, choosing space, choosing herself, know that's not weakness. That's not bitterness. That's power. Her peace doesn't need Kody's apology or Robyn's validation. It comes from detachment, from finally deciding, I am enough, even if you never saw it. And no, she doesn't want to be friends, because some relationships are meant to stay broken. Here's the hardest truth about reality TV, especially a show like Sister Wives. The people living the drama rarely get to hold the pen. Their lives get clipped, edited, and repackaged for entertainment. And what we've seen from Janelle isn't just a woman leaving a toxic marriage. It's a woman reclaiming her narrative with quiet strength. She didn't need a yelling argument or theatrical departure to make her statement. Her words, "I just don't like them," were the mic drop, the culmination of years of smiling through dysfunction. Her way of saying, "I've had enough, and I don't owe you my pain to make your narrative work." Because when you let someone else write your story, the cost is steep. You watch your life become a plot twist. You watch your children get pulled into a drama they never signed up for. And worst of all, you become a character in a novel that won't allow you to heal. But off screen, Janelle did survive. She found her voice in the rubble. And sometimes the strongest thing a woman can do is walk away from the wreckage, let them roll the credits, and never go to the reunion. Thank you for spending time with me today. I'm Aariaa, and this is TLC Next Reveal. If watching this family self-destruct hit you some kind of way, if you've ever had to set boundaries that no one understood, drop your comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and keep showing up for the truth. For sometimes, the true story is the one they didn't want to tell.